Kaoru Nagase, a young woman toiling away at her boring office job, finds herself receiving a call from a friend urging her to hurry. Hastening to finish her tasks, she reflects on the lack of excitement in her life, wishing she appeared less fatigued. Suddenly, she's overcome by dizziness and collapses. Upon regaining her consciousness, she discovers a man apologizing to her whom she recognizes as God. He states that her world is filled with dimensional disturbances, and in his attempt to rectify one, she was unintentionally struck. Though he managed to rescue her soul, returning her to her original body is impossible. So as compensation, he proposes reincarnating her into a different world. Saying her farewells to her friends and family, Kaoru is surprised by their acceptance and reassurance that she'll thrive wherever she lands. God informs her that she'll be reborn into a world similar to Earth, albeit less technologically advanced. Concerned about potential dangers in this new realm, Kaoru demands an overpowered skill to ensure her survival. Upon meeting Celestine, the goddess overseeing her reincarnation, Kaoru is delighted as it offers Celestine a chance to converse with Earth's god, whom she has a crush on. Celestine grants Kaoru the ability to comprehend and communicate in the language of her new world, along with a younger body. Contemplating the skill that would best ensure her survival in this medieval-style world of magic, monsters, and hunters, Kaoru settles on the ability to make potions with any desired effects. Despite Celestine's hesitation due to the skill's potential overpowered nature, Kaoru insists, citing her promise from Earth's god. Expanding on her request, Kaoru also asks for the ability to create her potion container at any size, along with an item box boasting limitless storage capacity. Although taken aback by Kaoru's audacity, Celestine ultimately concedes to her demands to avoid displeasing Earth's god. As Kaoru prepares for her reincarnation, she makes one final request of the goddess: to be her friend. Despite Celestine's initial exasperation, she agrees, and with a flash of light, Kaoru is transported to her new world. Stop, let me transport you to a world of shoujo storytelling by liking this video and subscribing to my channel. Like isekai like this one? I got a whole playlist for you here. So come on, let's explore, subscribe for more. Immediately, she notices she can understand the birds chirping and assumes it's a part of her communication ability from the goddess. Eager to test her potion-making skill, Kaoru creates a healing potion to mend the wound on her head from the tree. Refreshed, she sets off for the nearest town but soon finds herself exhausted from the journey. With another potion, she replenishes her stamina and continues her trek. Upon reaching the town, Kaoru decides to sell her potions to earn money. However, the receptionist at the Hunters Guild suggests she sell them to a pharmacist instead. Worried about accommodation without any funds, Kaoru is relieved when Gilda, the receptionist, offers her a place to stay for the night. Kaoru's attempts to sell her potions are met with skepticism from the adventurers, who doubt the effectiveness of her claims. Despite this setback, she finds herself offering her services for odd tasks in exchange for food and lodging for the night. However, her fortunes take a turn when an injured man is brought into the guild, and Kaoru decides to intervene. Ignoring the hunter's puzzlement, she administers her potions to the injured man, healing him almost instantly. Her miraculous display of healing earns her the admiration of those present, who begin to see her as an angelic figure. However, Kaoru soon realizes the potential danger of drawing attention to her extraordinary abilities in a world where magic is rare and highly regarded. Despite her desire to keep a low profile, she is summoned to meet with Baron Runir, the lord of the land, setting the stage for new adventures and challenges in her newfound world. Kaoru finds herself in a difficult situation when she is taken by force to the Baron's mansion. Despite her initial fear, she cleverly uses her bracelet's association with damage to manipulate the situation to her advantage. With a plan forming in her mind, she buys herself time by requesting to repair her bracelet, all while plotting her escape. When given the opportunity, Kaoru seizes it by incapacitating her assigned assistant, Hannah, and using her appearance to disguise herself. With her newfound guise, she swiftly gathers her belongings and escapes the mansion unnoticed, leaving behind a bewildered Baron and a trail of confusion in her wake. Kaoru finds herself in a precarious situation as she hides behind a tree, hoping to evade her pursuers. With a change in her appearance, she hopes to avoid recognition as she prepares to continue her journey toward the royal capital. However, her plans take an unexpected turn when she encounters 3 children passing by. The youngest of the group, a girl named Eunith, mistakes Kaoru for a goddess and begins to address her as such. Seizing the opportunity, Kaoru decides to play along with the misconception. Though she clarifies she is not a goddess but rather someone from another world, she introduces herself to the children, learning that they are the offspring of the noble Count Aden, with Hector proudly proclaiming his lineage and introducing his knight, Francette. The trio explains their journey to visit their ailing grandmother, causing Kaoru to employ her powers to heal her. Though hesitant, Kaoru agrees under one condition: they must share a story that moves her to tears. While initially unimpressed by the children's tales, it's Fran's heartfelt account of her sacrifices as a knight that finally stirs Kaoru's emotions. Overwhelmed, she channels her empathy into 3 potent potions, born from her tears. Kaoru entrusts Hector with 1 potion for his grandmother's recovery and advises Fran to keep hers for moments of utmost trust. The final potion she reserves for Francette's personal usage, a tool of healing to be wielded with care and intention. The children's origins from the western kingdom of Balmore are revealed, and a month later, their father, Count Aden, shares their encounter with the goddess with King Sergei. Initially skeptical, the king witnesses Fran's transformation after consuming her potion, sparking belief in the miraculous abilities of Kaoru. Impressed by the potion's effects, Fran offers her second potion to Roland, the former crown prince who lost the use of his right arm in battle. With Roland's arm restored, Sergei considers reinstating him as the rightful heir to the throne, but Roland expresses disinterest in the burdens of kingship, preferring a simpler life. Meanwhile, Kaoru arrives in Eris, the capital of the eastern kingdom of Brancott, only to discover that the populace worships Celestine. In a bid to avoid repeating her past missteps, Kaoru ventures into a pawn shop to sell some items required from the Baron's mansion. Initially skeptical of the legitimacy of her goods, the shopkeeper is moved by her tale of inheriting them from her recently deceased mother, and ultimately purchases them. Meanwhile, at Brancott Castle, Prince Fernand laments his mountain of paperwork, foreseeing even greater administrative burdens when he ascends the throne. Joined by his friends Fabio and Alan, they opt for a respite and head out for a meal. To their surprise, they encounter a variety of novel dishes at a local restaurant, where Kaoru works as a maid. Astounded by the flavors, Fernand and Fabio express preference for the restaurant fare over palace cuisine, while Alan acknowledges Kaoru's role in introducing these culinary delights. Intrigued by Alan's suggestion, Fernand and Fabio listen in on Kaoru's conversation to disclose the source of the restaurant's unique appeal. When Kaoru finally approaches them, they seize the opportunity to seek her counsel on matters of governance. Her unexpected advice to lower taxes catches them off guard, but she explains how this measure could stimulate economic activity by attracting more merchants and farmers, ultimately boosting revenue through increased trade and productivity. Initially skeptical, Fernand and Fabio mull over Kaoru's proposition and gradually come to recognize its merit. However, Fernand in particular finds himself increasingly drawn to her. As the busy day at the restaurant winds down, Kaoru and her colleagues gather to share a delightful meal prepared by Kaoru herself. Amidst the warmth of the moment, she reflects on her decision to use her potion's powers for culinary efforts has brought a sense of contentment in her life in this new town. However, her peace is soon disturbed by the persistent presence of Prince Fernand, whose frequent visits and demands for exclusive service begin to wear on her patience. Frustrated by his entitled behavior, Kaoru finally reaches her breaking point and confronts him, firmly admonishing him for his disrespectful conduct and warning that continued disrespect will result in his exclusion from the restaurant. Despite Fernand's friends' attempts to reason with him, his pride is wounded by Kaoru's rejection, so he reluctantly ceases his harassment of her. With Fernand no longer frequenting the restaurant, Kaoru hopes for a return to the peace she had enjoyed before. However, her hopes are dashed when she receives a summons to the castle, disrupting her peace once again. As she arrives at the grand event, dressed in the stolen dress from the Baron's mansion, Kaoru is met with a mixture of curiosity and apprehension from the castle guard, who quickly admits her upon verifying her invitation, but harbors suspicions about her character. Kaoru finds herself amidst a sea of elegantly attired women vying for Prince Fernand's attention, each hoping to be chosen as his bride. Despite the magnificence of the occasion, she chooses to wear her humble maid attire, preparing to fulfill her duties serving the nobles in attendance. Meanwhile, Fernand grows increasingly frustrated as he searches for Kaoru, unable to locate her despite extending a personal invitation. His friends, Fabio and Alan, attempt to lighten the mood with teasing remarks about his stern demeanor, potentially scaring off his future bride. However, Fernand remains fixated on finding Kaoru, despite their jests. When Fabio informs him of Kaoru's presence serving guests, Fernand hastily makes his way towards her. Upon encountering Kaoru, he demands an explanation for her attire, questioning why she is not wearing a dress like the other guests. She calmly asserts that, as a maid, her role is to serve, and thus she dresses accordingly. Unconvinced, he immediately contacts his subordinate to inquire why the clothes he selected for Kaoru were not delivered as instructed. As the man insists he delivered the package, Kaoru reveals she never received any explanation and assumed it was meant for the neighboring business. Fernand, frustrated with the mix-up, still expresses his relief that Kaoru managed to attend, and immediately moves to introduce her as his fiancée, shocking everyone present. Despite the unexpected announcement, he proceeds to introduce her to his parents, suggesting the possibility of having a noble adopt her to elevate her status. However, Kaoru swiftly rejects his proposal, asserting that she wasn't even consulted about the idea of marriage. She refuses to sacrifice her freedom and privacy to become a queen, despite his declarations of love for her intellect and beauty. In a dramatic gesture, she breaks a plate and uses a shard to mark her own face, declaring herself a fool and claiming to have no value to him. Despite his protests, she dashes out of the castle, leaving Fernand's friends to advise him against pursuing her. Kaoru escapes the city, and once she's far away enough, she uses a potion to restore her face. Relieved to be free from the prince's advances, she hitches a ride with a merchant named Johan, offering him advice on his business along the way. Despite his offer of a job, she decides to strike out on her own, determined to forge her own path. Kaoru finds employment as a live-in maid at a workshop, only to discover upon arrival that the turnover rate for employees is high. The owner, Bernard, warns her of this trend but gives her a chance nonetheless. With her extraordinary cleaning abilities fueled by her potions, she swiftly transforms the dirty workshop into a shiny space within hours. While tidying up, Kaoru notices a craftsman working on a hip flask, sparking an idea. Instead of selling her potions directly, she could market the exquisite containers she can create. Utilizing her potion powers, she crafts a stunning glass bottle that impresses everyone present, leading them to agree to help her sell the containers. With this newfound venture, she begins to earn a steady income, facilitating a more comfortable lifestyle. During a visit to the market to purchase fruits, a young boy snatches her purse, but Kaoru reveals it to be a decoy equipped with a tracking device. Later that night, the same boy returns and shares the mess of a girl named Kosher, whose mother was harmed by a noble. Despite the city's facade of peace, Kaoru learns of its underlying injustices. Determined to help, she and the boy venture into the slums to locate Kosher's home. Using her potions to disguise her appearance, she introduces herself as a friend of the goddess and heals Kosher's mother with a potion, offering her support without expecting anything in return. As the orphaned children begin to shadow her, Kaoru establishes a covert organization known as the Eyes of the Goddess, through which they inform her of individuals in need. One such person is Johan, a merchant who is praying to the goddess for his ailing daughter, when Kaoru, disguised as a chemist, appears. Despite their mutual recognition, Kaoru explains her presence by attributing it to charitable deeds for the needy. Johan is taken aback by her revelation, but is willing to offer her anything in return for her assistance. However, she simply requests his discretion regarding her identity and his commitment to aiding those in distress. She devises a plan to solicit donations from the rich in the name of the goddess, while happily assisting the less fortunate. To support the orphan children, Kaoru steals sweets from the manor and distributes them amongst them. In a flashback, Kaoru swiftly catches up to the boy who pilfered her pouch and tends to his wounded hands with a healing potion. Surprised to learn that he stole for his ailing friend Belle, she demands to be taken to her. Upon reaching Belle's side, Kaoru promptly administers healing magic. Much to the relief of the gathered children, identifying herself as a friend of the goddess, she enlists their help in identifying others in need of aid, promising ample food in return. This marks the inception of the Eyes of the Goddess organization, with rumors of a divine angel spreading throughout the city. Meanwhile, at the workshop, employee Asil professes his love for Kaoru, though his proposal is revealed to be a ruse for his brother's party. Disheartened by the realization, Kaoru nonetheless attends the event at Viscount Leo's home. where she indulges in the lavish spread. Encountering Johan, who had prepared her dress for the occasion, Kaoru inquires about the line of women vying for the eldest son's attention. Discovering they are potential marriage candidates, she seizes the opportunity to join the line, introducing herself to the eldest son as a friend of Asil. Urging him to call forth his loyal guard, Calvin, who was injured in a bear attack, she leads the crowd in a prayer for the goddess's blessing. As they close their eyes, a red potion materializes, which she encourages Calvin to drink. Reluctantly, Calvin gulps down the potion, and to the astonishment of everyone, his once disabled leg is miraculously restored. As murmurs of disbelief fill the air, Asil grapples with the mystery of Kaoru's identity, but she has vanished, seeking refuge in a temple within the royal capital. However, the bishop, harboring ulterior motives, orders a search for her. Asil tracks down Kaoru in the workshop, where she reveals her ability and her connection to the goddess. Their conversation is interrupted by Asil's brother, who announces that Kaoru has been summoned by the king. The next day, as King Sergei grows impatient, news arrives that Kaoru attempted to enter through the back gate in disguise, but was denied entry. It's revealed that she cleverly turned the situation to her advantage, invoking her vow to the goddess, which even the king cannot challenge. Frustrated, the king realizes he cannot override such a vow. Kaoru employs the same tactic to fend off the persistent bishop, eventually resorting to divine retribution in the form of an explosive potion on his carriage. The incident sparks a dispute between the royal family and the temple, with both vying to control Kaoru's actions. A public assembly is convened in front of the goddess's statue, where the king questions Kaoru about any divine messages, only to be surprised by her response that she is not bound to the kingdom and is present merely by chance. As Kaoru addresses the crowd, the priest assumes she will align herself with the temple as a devotee of the goddess. However, she surprises everyone by declaring that she does not adhere to any single faith and believes in multiple deities. She asserts that she is a friend of the goddess and will only bestow blessings upon those deserving of them. Her unconventional beliefs draw laughter when she questions the exaggerated depiction of the goddess's attributes in the statue, leading to a playful prank with a bucket dropped from Celestine. Reflecting on her newfound freedom after the public inquiry, Kaoru resolves to extend her aid to those in need by producing potions for the less fortunate. Recognizing the need for influential allies, she encounters Fran in the market, but fails to recognize her at first. Fran recounts their previous encounter, explaining her rejuvenation, and Kaoru is amazed by the power of the goddess. Requesting an introduction to Count Roland, Fran's current master, Kaoru finds both him and Fran willing to offer assistance. With their support, she forms the secret organization, adding them as members. Kaoru emphasizes the need for secrecy regarding her divine origins, intending to spread blessings discreetly. She proposes producing affordable potions, albeit with a time constraint to prevent stockpiling for warfare. Impressed by her vision, the group pledges their full support, adopting the name Goddess's Light. Despite her annoyance at another extravagant title, Kaoru accepts it. On her way back to the workshop, Asil informs her of a stranger from another country seeking her. Fernand's pursuit of Kaoru leads him to Balmore, where Fabio and Alan attempt to reason with him, urging him to apologize for his behavior. Kaoru plays a trick on Fernand, claiming to be her sister, and teasing him about his conceited nature. She rejects Alan's invitation to live with her sister in Brancott, citing potential power imbalances between the kingdoms. As Fernand grows more forceful, he is surrounded by the men from the workshop. Though Kaoru intervenes and asks them to leave, Fernand is eventually pulled away by his friends, questioning whether they truly encountered Kaoru or her sister? Is because she doesn't have the scar? That's why they believe her? Anyways, despite Fernand's persistence, it's evident that Kaoru holds no interest in him. Now, in the Holy Land of Rueda, the Pope learns of Balmore's rejection of their summoning of Kaoru. Rueda's authority has waned since Celestine's descent 53 years prior, and they believe the goddess's blessings should be exclusive to their land. Meanwhile, Kaoru's potions bring positive changes to Balmore, though she prioritizes advancing medical technology over increasing production. She directs Johan to distribute potions to neighboring kingdoms, Acede and Branos. In the Empire of Alagot, the king hears of the potions and orders an invasion of Balmore to seize Kaoru and replicate the potions. Back in Balmore, Kaoru's generosity extends to providing housing, utensils, and financial education for the orphan children. She happily aids sick families at night, using the tears of the goddess, believing herself unrecognized until a healed girl presents her with a flower, surprising Kaoru. As tensions escalate, with the imminent threat of Alagot's invasion, King Sergei and Roland strategize to counter the enemy forces. Meanwhile, emissaries from Rueda arrive, seeking custody of Kaoru before the war erupts. Sergei considers turning them away, but Roland insists on meeting Kaoru first. When they do, the emissaries urge Kaoru to evacuate to the Holy Land for safety. However, Kaoru suspects Rueda's collaboration with Alagot and exposes their betrayal, leading to the arrest of the emissaries on espionage charges. She tasks Roland with informing other nations about Rueda's treachery before departing on a walk, intending to confront Alagot's forces. Back at the house, Kaoru advises the orphan children to flee if danger arises, but they insist on accompanying her out of gratitude. Accepting their resolve, Kaoru devises a plan to evacuate villages in the enemy's path, securing food and water supplies while preparing to confront the invaders. Francine alerts them to the approaching enemy, and they observe a bishop accompanying the enemy commander, indicating collusion with Rueda. They patiently wait for the logistics unit to cross the canyon, and then sabotage their supplies with explosives provided by Kaoru. As the main unit returns, they find their supplies destroyed, foiling their invasion plans and dealing a significant blow to Alagot's forces. As the enemy advances to seize the remaining resources in the villages ahead, they are met with a devastating realization. All the water has been poisoned, and there is no food to be found. Amidst this chaos, a young villager rushes to Kaoru with crucial information. The enemy has taken control of a secret well hidden from their knowledge. Betrayal from within has led to this dire situation, but Kaoru wastes no time and, accompanied by her companions, sets off to confront the enemy at the village. While Roland and his soldiers engage the enemy in combat, Kaoru and the children head towards the well. They reach a shed concealing the well and cautiously approach. Inside, they find 3 enemy soldiers guarding the vital water source. The soldiers recognize Kaoru and accuse her of poisoning the wells. With tension rising, Kaoru ponders the best course of action, aiming to resolve the situation without drawing attention. In a bold move, Belle snatches the bottle from Kaoru's hand and dashes towards the well, determined to take matters into her own hands. As Belle bravely leaps into the well, holding the bottle of poison, Kaoru moves to stop her, but Emile intervenes, urging Kaoru to trust Belle's decision. With determination, Belle plunges into the well, leaving everyone in shock. Kaoru, concerned for Belle's safety, questions her actions, but Belle reaffirms her loyalty and duty to protect Kaoru as a member of the Eyes of the Goddess. The enemy guards, enraged by the destruction of their water source, attempt to retaliate, but they are swiftly incapacitated by the poison created by Kaoru. Emile, overcome with worry, rushes to the well, calling out for Belle. His fear turns to relief when he hears her voice responding from behind him. To his astonishment, Belle emerges unscathed, revealing that Kaoru had hidden her inside the item box, ensuring her safety during the risky endeavor. Emile rushes to Belle's side, embracing her with gratitude and relief, while Kaoru watches on, relieved that her plan to protect Belle had succeeded. As they approach the enemy outpost, Kaoru listens intently to the general's briefing on the tense situation. With both armies locked in a standoff and direct confrontation imminent, Kaoru devises a plan to turn the tide using potions as bait. She sets her plan into motion, carefully deploying the potions strategically to lure the Imperial army into a trap. With precision and timing, they execute their maneuvers, drawing the enemy forces into a vulnerable position. As the Imperial army falls for the bait, they find themselves ambushed by Kaoru's group, who strikes swiftly and decisively. The battle rages on, with Kaoru leading her companions with skill and determination. Using her potions to heal and empower her allies, they gain the upper hand against the enemy forces. Amidst the chaos of battle, Kaoru remains focused on her goal, driving back the Imperial army with relentless resolve. As the battle reaches its climax, Kaoru's presence on the battlefield becomes a beacon of both hope and dread. With the enemy forces closing in, she unleashes her fury, determined to protect her allies and secure victory. Roland's bold challenge distracts the enemy momentarily, but they soon redirect their forces toward Kaoru, surrounding her with overwhelming numbers. In a desperate bid to save her, Fran rushes to her aid, fighting valiantly despite the odds stacked against her. However, even Fran's incredible strength proves insufficient against the relentless onslaught of the enemy forces. As danger looms ever closer, Roland selflessly intercepts an arrow aimed at Kaoru, sustaining a grievous wound in the process. Witnessing her allies' sacrifices, Kaoru's anger ignites, unleashing a devastating display of power that halts the battle in its tracks. With a commanding presence, Kaoru issues orders to both friend and foe alike, compelling them to obey her will. She commends Fran for her unwavering loyalty and offers her a boon, which Fran selflessly dedicates to protecting her lord once more. Empowered by Kaoru's blessing, Fran becomes a force to be reckoned with, wielding her newfound strength and holy sword to carve through the enemy ranks with ease. As panic spreads among the enemy forces, Kaoru's explosions further scatter their resolve, driving them to retreat in disarray. In the aftermath of the battle, Kaoru's actions are hailed as a decisive victory, ensuring the safety and stability of their kingdom. With the threat of Alagot quelled, discussions turn to the future, with newfound confidence that their realm will remain secure under Kaoru's vigilant watch. Amidst the peace talks, tensions run high as both sides seek to secure favorable terms. King Sergei demands compensation for the damages inflicted among Balmor during the conflict, citing the aggression of Alagot's forces. In response, the Chancellor of Alagot shifts blame onto Balmor, accusing them of provoking war by allegedly confining the Angel and monopolizing her potions. However, Kaoru intervenes, dispelling the misconceptions surrounding her identity and intentions. With unwavering resolve, she asserts her independence, declaring that she belongs to no kingdom and that her potions are available for purchase by anyone. She clarifies that the absence of her potions in Alagot is due to their limited shelf life of 5 days, rather than any intentional blockade. Kaoru's proposal to extend the shelf life of her potions garners interest, signaling potential advancements in trade and diplomacy. She unveils her discovery of a nearby island with fertile land and abundant resources, offering a viable solution to Alagot's economic woes. By leveraging their forest resources to build ships, Alagot can embark on trade ventures with foreign lands, stimulating economic growth and stability. King Sergei embraces Kaoru's proposal, agreeing to oversee the collection of compensation and installments to ease the financial burden on Alagot. Touched by the gesture of compassion and cooperation, the people of Alagot express their gratitude, recognizing the sincerity of Balmor's efforts. However, tensions escalate as the Pope of the Holy Land adamantly refuses to acknowledge any culpability in the conflict. Despite the damning evidence provided by Kaoru, he insists on deflecting blame and demands apologies instead. Kaoru exposes the Holy Land's insidious agenda to monopolize her potions under the guise of safeguarding her, revealing their exploitation of her divine status for personal gain. In a desperate bid to salvage their reputation, the Pope resorts to summoning Celestine, hoping to invoke her divine authority. However, to his astonishment, Celestine aligns herself with Kaoru, denouncing Rueda's claim to holiness and affirming her independence from mortal affairs. She admonishes those who exploit her name for selfish motives, and reaffirms her role as a divine entity beyond mortal influence. With Celestine's stance, the Pope's evil plans crumble, exposing the corruption within Rueda's hierarchy. As Celestine departs, her words resonate, signaling a new era of accountability and integrity in the realm of divine worship. As morning approaches, Kaoru devises a plan to escape with the other kidnapped girls before they are transported as slaves. She convinces the guard to let her use the restroom, and once outside the cell, she incapacitates him with a swift blow to the head. She quickly frees the other girls and leads them through the dark corridors of the hideout. Meanwhile, Roland and the rest of the group continue their frantic search for Kaoru in the city of Selenis. Despite their efforts, they find no trace of her, prompting growing concern among them. They remain determined to locate her and ensure her safety. Back at the hideout, Kaoru and the girls stealthily navigate their way through the labyrinth, avoiding detection by the remaining guards. With Kaoru's guidance, they manage to reach the exit, but their escape is thwarted by the arrival of the leader of the kidnappers. Thinking quickly, Kaoru feigns innocence and tries to negotiate with the leader, buying time for the girls to flee. However, the leader sees through her ruse and orders his men to capture them all. In the ensuing chaos, Kaoru fights off the attackers, using her skills and potions to defend herself and the other girls. Just as it seems they will be overwhelmed, reinforcements arrive in the form of Roland and Fran, who had tracked Kaoru's whereabouts. Together, they engage the kidnappers in a fierce battle, turning the tide in their favor. In the aftermath, the kidnappers are apprehended, and the rescued girls are reunited with their families. Kaoru's bravery and quick thinking earn her the admiration of Roland and the others, reinforcing their bond as allies and friends. With the crisis averted, Kaoru and her companions resume their journey, determined to uncover the secrets behind the larger organizations backing the kidnappers. As dawn breaks, the girls find themselves confined within barrels, destined for an unknown fate. Kaoru, resourceful as ever, summons a blade to free herself, inadvertently nicking her hand in the process. Suppressing her pain, she quickly administers a healing potion, chastising herself for not utilizing her magic to escape. Upon reaching a checkpoint, Kaoru bursts from her wooden prison, pleading for aid, only to discover the guards' collusion with the kidnappers. Determined to thwart her plans, she employs the same tactics used against the Empire, inciting chaos to alert her allies. With kidnappers and guards closing in, Kaoru employs swift kicks and pepper spray to fend them off, while her companions emerge from their own barrels to join the fray. With the threat neutralized, Kaoru reveals the truth about the kidnapping ring, shocking all present. As the guard captain seeks answers, Kaoru attributes their rescue to divine intervention, sparing her from further scrutiny. The arrival of the Domain Lord prompts Kaoru to recount her tale once more, issuing a stern warning of divine retribution for those involved. The mothers of the kidnapped girls arrive, but one girl named Layette is left behind. Shockingly, it's revealed that Layette's parents sold her, prompting Kaoru to step in and adopt her instead of sending her to an orphanage. Layette agrees, and Kaoru is thrilled to have a new companion. As they set off on their journey, Kaoru worries about Layette getting tired from riding horseback for too long. She tries to convince her horse to pull a carriage, but he initially refuses until Kaoru entices him with the promise of transforming a potion container into a versatile war chariot. Eventually, he relents. Meanwhile, Celestine reports back to the god of Earth, praising Kaoru for her noble deeds in safeguarding her world. Pleased with her efforts, the god commends her and expresses confidence in her abilities to continue her mission. Continuing their journey towards the royal capital, Kaoru suggests stopping at a hot spring to relax. Despite warnings about the distance and the presence of thieves in the mountains, they press on. Along the way, Roland inquires about the device on Kaoru's face, which she explains is for detecting sulfur in the hot springs. Upon reaching the hot spring, Kaoru enhances the experience by conjuring a lion's head over the water source, a custom from her homeland. While enjoying the soak, Kaoru tries to broach the topic of romance with the girls, but finds their responses lacking. Layette's curiosity about Kaoru's own romantic experiences leaves her feeling melancholic, realizing she's never been in a relationship. Meanwhile, Roland and Emile encounter intruders, whom they capture and interrogate. The intruders turn out to be residents of the mountain village that oversees the hot springs, who assure Kaoru and her group that they are welcome to use the hot spring as they please, apologizing for any misunderstanding. Fran and Roland harbor suspicion about the boys' intentions when they are invited to the village, but Kaoru surprisingly agrees to go along. On the journey, Fran questions Kaoru's decision, to which Kaoru responds that she did it for fun. Upon arrival, they are greeted by the village chief, who invites them to a meal at the village hall. Kaoru astutely observes that the gathering resembles a matchmaking party. During the meal, the chief emphasizes that despite being travelers, they are now considered part of the village and should contribute to decision-making. He reveals that the village is plagued by a band of thieves, sparking Fran's imagination about heroically saving the villagers. However, Kaoru intervenes, offering prayers instead. The villagers react negatively to Kaoru's suggestion, prompting Fran and the others to realize they were being manipulated. As they prepare to leave, the elders implore them to stay and help. The chief explains their plight, admitting they sought help from skilled fighters due to their inability to fend off the thieves themselves. Kaoru admonishes the villagers for their reliance on others and challenges them to take responsibility for their village's defense. Inspired by her words, the children volunteer to learn how to fight, and the villagers rally behind them. Kaoru agrees to train them but refuses to fight on their behalf, while Fran and Roland train the men in martial arts. Kaoru fortifies the village's defenses with potions and instructs them on strengthening their fences. She summons buckets with Celestine's help to set up traps, enhancing their defenses further. When the thieves arrive and attempt to breach the fences, they are thwarted by the fortified defenses and traps. The villagers bravely engage the thieves in battle, with Fran's impressive display of strength forcing the bandit leader to surrender. They apprehend all the thieves, and Kaoru instructs the villagers to send a messenger to the city to exchange them for a bounty. On their journey back, Kaoru suggests another visit to the hot springs, but one of the kids runs after them, asking Fran to teach him more martial arts so he can defeat more enemies. Fran gently explains that martial arts are meant for protecting loved ones, and encourages him to grow up to be a brave farmer instead. That night, the girls relax in the hot spring while Kaoru discusses her plans to open a potion shop. Before she can elaborate, they hear a noise nearby. Fran tosses a bucket into the bushes, revealing Emile and Roland, who become flustered and point fingers at each other, while the girls accuse them of attempting to peep. Outside a new drugstore, soldiers excitedly examine the potions displayed, discovering their remedies for various ailments. It's Kaoru's shop, now open in the kingdom of Juzral, where she sells potions for profit, aiming for an easy life. The soldiers inquire about a potion for itchy feet, a common ailment among them known as soldier syndrome. Kaoru offers 3 types, ranging from basic relief to complete healing, with the cheapest priced at just 3 silver. Aware that once they try it, they'll keep coming back, Kaoru moves to the next phase of her plan. At the guild, Emile and Belle accept a job posted by Kaoru to act as guards. In front of the other hunters, Kaoru assigns their tasks as Emile and Belle introduce themselves. They're doing this to avoid suspicion, as news of the Angels' party has reached the kingdom. This way, they can live together without drawing attention. Kaoru and Layette stop at the market for groceries, with Roland and Fran secretly following them. Fran questions why they don't live with Kaoru like Emile and Belle, but Roland explains that Kaoru gave them space since they're engaged, although Fran rejects Roland's advances. On their way back, a boy named Gum offers to carry Kaoru's groceries for 2 coppers, mentioning his group that does odd jobs around town for money. Gum is surprised to learn about Kaoru's store and introduces himself before running off. Later, Gum and the kids count their earnings, disappointed by the amount. Emile and Belle arrive, bringing food from Kaoru and offering to cook. Gum tucks the kids into bed and asks Emile about their past, learning about their difficult lives before meeting Kaoru. Gum marvels at their success, but Emile hesitates to reveal too much about Kaoru's identity at the shop. Kaoru quickly instructs Layette to go upstairs as army officials enter. The officer introduces himself as Colonel Nevas, the Royal Army's 2nd Battalion commander, and expresses interest in buying Kaoru's soldier syndrome potions in bulk for the benefit of the 10,000 soldiers in the army. Kaoru inquires about the other 9 battalion commanders, and Nevas assures her that he will distribute the potions fairly among them, promising to maintain the same price. Though Kaoru wonders about Nevas' motives, he dismisses her concerns, stating it's not something civilians need to worry about. Ultimately, Kaoru agrees to the deal, thinking about the profits she'll make. Later, Gum asks Kaoru if he can be like Emile and Belle. Kaoru reassures him, emphasizing that everyone has value, and gives him a flute to call him if she has work for him. She delivers her potions to Nevas in his office, but requests a tour of the place before she leaves. They observe soldiers practicing communication using coded boxes, but Kaoru easily understands their messages, realizing they're discussing her. Later, at the shop, she's visited by a frustrated commander who complains that Nevas isn't sharing the potions with other battalions. Kaoru assures him that his battalion will receive priority in the next shipment, arranging separate arrangements for each. Grateful, the commander leaves. Shortly after, Count Olim, the landlord, arrives, presenting Kaoru with a contract demanding half of the profits and ownership of the products, giving him control over pricing and production methods. Furious but trapped, Kaoru reluctantly accepts. Olam acquired the shop by bullying the previous owners, leaving Kaoru frustrated but compliant. The realtor questions her decision, but she asks for a favor instead. The next day, Olam arrives to collect profits, intent on acquiring the production method for the soldier syndrome potions. However, he finds Emile and Belle selling lunches instead. Furious, he confronts Kaoru, who threatens to keep moving shops if he persists, even considering leaving the country. Roland supports her, wielding Fran's sword as a warning. Cornered, Olam relents, returning the shop to Kaoru and promising not to disturb her again. They return to their original shop, but Belle insists they prepare to make lunches. Kaoru and the group face the reality of their lunch order, surprised by the unexpected demand. Despite their initial shock, they gear up to fulfill the order, even though Kaoru longs for an easier life. Meanwhile, a vegetable farmer's cart releases a rat into the city, causing a stir. Amidst the chaos, Belle rushes in to remind Kaoru of their lunch preparations. Layette tries to wake her, but Kaoru struggles to shake off her weariness. As they diligently work on the lunches, Kaoru briefly considers using her abilities to expedite the process, but opts to do her best manually. Despite their efforts, Kaoru's lunches are the only ones left unsold. Devastated by the lack of recognition for her recipes, she feels frustrated and disheartened. Her friends try to support her by buying some of her lunches, but Kaoru remains disheartened, reflecting on their future plans for the drugstore. During their lunch-selling woes, Fran informs Kaoru of their potion stock running low on fever remedies. Concerned, Kaoru prepares to restock and deliver potions to the army, while Fran decides to secretly follow her, leaving Roland in charge of the store. Gum and his friends escort Kaoru to the office, expressing gratitude for a meal and Belle's support in their spare time. Upon arrival, Kaoru meets Commander Lasrich. Introduced by Navas, she raises the issue of the complaint about potion distribution, but Navas realizes his lack of malicious intent. However, upon inadvertently decoding a secret document on the table, she accuses Navas of unauthorized potion sales and financial misconduct. Perplexed, Navas questions how she decoded the document seized from a gang involved in stealing military supplies. Kaoru reveals her ability to decipher it, a gift from Celestine, and proceeds to explain its contents. Impressed by Kaoru's skills, Navas offers her a position in the army, but she politely declines. Later, Lasrich visits her shop with a personal request, inviting Kaoru to his house. She and Leia accompany him, surprised by the grandeur of his residence. Despite Lasrich's noble status as a viscount, Kaoru notices the modest furnishing and wonders about his financial status. Lasrich shares his predicament. His family's domain has faced crop failures, depleting their finances. Desperate to alleviate their struggles, he seeks a hidden treasure passed down through generations. However, the location remains a mystery, with only a coded document as a clue. Despite Kaoru's efforts to decipher it, the document offers no insight into the treasure's whereabouts. Disheartened, Lasrich explains that previous generations had searched in vain, only knowing that the treasure was once in the capital. Feeling compassion for Lasrich's situation, Kaoru decides to help by creating a potion in the shape of a metal detector, programmed to detect gold above a certain threshold. Initially, it reacts to the gold in Lasrich's possession, but when adjusted to a higher threshold, it leads them to the treasury. However, they are disappointed to find only remaining gold coins there. Kaoru eliminates the gold coins from the search, but the detector fails to locate any other significant gold. Kaoru realizes that the total weight of the gold coins is insufficient to trigger the detector's response, indicating that there must be something else the detector is pointing towards. Rushing to the room behind the treasury, Kaoru urges for the wall to be cut open, suspecting the treasure might be hidden inside. However, they find the wall empty, leading to disappointment. As they discuss the setback, Leia interrupts, seeking Kaoru's help for a bug bite. While attending to Layette, Kaoru has a sudden realization. She rushes back to the vault and scratches it with a coin, revealing that the vault itself is made of gold, constituting the hidden treasure. Lasrich rejoices at the discovery, but Kaoru reminds him that solving the underlying issues causing the crop failures is essential, as even the treasure will deplete if the problems persist. Lasrich gratefully prepares a meal for them and introduces them to his family. Kaoru's illusions of being embraced by a noble family shatter when she realizes that the Viscount's sons are only interested in obtaining the Soldier's Syndrome potion from her. Later that night, Gum urgently seeks Kaoru's help, leading her to his sick friends. It becomes evident that a widespread epidemic has gripped the city, with many falling severely ill with fevers and coughs. Kaoru fears it may be an epidemic and witnesses its rapid spread, causing widespread closures across the city. Navas discloses that the epidemic originated from the village of Goa, east of the capital, now under army-enforced lockdown. Roland expresses doubts about the royal family's handling of the crisis, while Fran worries about the villagers' dwindling food supply due to the lockdown. Despite contemplating waiting for the situation to resolve itself to resume her easy life, Kaoru resolves to help everyone, disregarding the risk of exposing her identity. She rallies the others, declaring her commitment to aiding those in need, invoking the goddess's light. Gathering at the city center's goddess statue, Kaoru summons all the children with her whistle and instructs them to spread the news of her plan to distribute a cure to everyone by morning. She assigns Roland the task of informing the nobility, while entrusting Fran with delivering potions to Navas for the soldiers guarding the area. As morning breaks, the town assembles and Kaoru addresses the crowd, emphasizing the importance of maintaining order or facing consequences from the goddess. She conjures a statue of Celestine, from which the potion flows, explaining its dual purpose: to cure those already afflicted and to prevent illness for others. Witnessing a man instantly feel better after taking the potion, the crowd eagerly follows suit. Recognizing the impracticality of everyone lining up in front of the statue, Kaoru entrusts Lazarus with a bag of potions to deliver to the royal family. A noble arrives, claiming ownership of the statue, but Kaoru responds by destroying his carriage. Begging for forgiveness, the noble is then directed to join the line like everyone else by Kaoru, who summons another statue. Soldiers are directed to the second statue after being cured. Nevas, curious about Kaoru's plans after this, learns that she intends to head to Goa to address the root of the problem and prevent further deaths. Surprised by Kaoru's ability to communicate with horses, Nevas decides to accompany her on the journey. Upon arrival in Goa, Kaoru informs the villagers about the potion, initially met with skepticism. However, witnessing an elderly man instantly cured after drinking it convinces them, and soon the entire village is celebrating as health is restored. Meanwhile, Kaoru begins searching for the source of the epidemic. Kaoru consults extensively with the village chief, carefully piecing together the timeline of the outbreak. The discussion reveals that the earliest cases emerged from the valley, prompting Kaoru to deploy her specialized equipment, the Searcher. This unique device, resembling a glass container, serves as her trusted companion in detecting anomalies. With precision and determination, Kaoru ventures into the heart of the valley, the Searcher humming softly as it scans the surroundings. Its subtle vibrations intensify as they approach a secluded area, signaling the presence of the virus. Kaoru's keen intuition guides her every move, her eyes shining with determination as she narrows in on the source. Suddenly, the Searcher's gentle hum escalates into a frantic buzz, indicating a significant anomaly nearby. Kaoru's heart races with anticipation as she follows its guidance, each step bringing them closer to the mysterious epicenter. Finally, they reach a clearing where an ominous blackened mass lies before them, emitting an evil aura. As Kaoru analyzes the scene, a realization dawns upon her. This enigmatic entity is the root cause of the epidemic. With a sense of urgency, she summons Celestine, knowing that their combined efforts are needed to confront this threat. Celestine, initially taken aback by the sight of the distortion, quickly rallies to Kaoru's side, her divine powers poised for action. Together, Kaoru and Celestine stand as a beacon of hope amidst the chaos, their resolve unwavering in the face of adversity. With determination burning in their hearts, they brace themselves for the inevitable confrontation. They successfully vanquish the distortion and restore peace to the afflicted village. Later, as the time to depart approaches, Nevas raises a curious question about the fate of the statues of Kaoru left in the capital. To their surprise, they discover that the statues have self-destructed, leaving no trace of their existence behind. 5 days later, the group sets out on their journey, their destination uncertain. Kaoru proposes a visit to the ocean, a suggestion met with positive reaction from her companions. Amidst the anticipation of their next adventure, she reflects on her ongoing quest for a life of ease. Despite the challenges she faced, she finds solace in the happiness of her friends and remains resolute in her determination to persevere until she achieves her ultimate goal. Wow, what a fun story of an overworked woman transitioning to an OP potion goddess. Man, it was definitely a good seasonal anime. If you made it this far, maybe put your favorite moment in the comments. I'd love to read it. For now though, watch this next video. It's me, ComfyTea. I'll see you all in the next one.